The TalkSport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search TalkSport Fan Network.
Welcome back to the show, all Cherries fans. Welcome to our friends from Manchester City and the rest of the Premier League. We do have a very special show for you today. Now, before we get going, hit the like, subscribe and the bell button below. It helps this channel to grow. Do also check out our two sponsors as well. Firstly, Touchpoint Telecoms at touchpointtelecoms.co.uk. Get in contact with Mark and the team. If you need telecoms from Manchester to Malvern and everywhere in between, and north and south and wherever in between as well, get in contact with Mark. And also check out our main sponsors, Dental on the Banks. If you need your teeth sorted, you know where to go, dentalonthebanks.co.uk. And here's a little bit about them now. Spot Antoine Semenyo in the video.
I should be like you, Melvin.
There we go. Thank you again to our two sponsors. Now, we do have a very special guest today. And our very special guest is a musician, a singer and a songwriter who is a Manchester City fan. He's starting out in the music industry, and it is a pleasure to welcome on to Up the Cherries, Felix Green. Welcome to the show, Felix Green. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for having me. Yeah, very well. Yeah, it's cool to be on here.
Excellent. And how are you feeling coming to a team in the Champions League places?
Not gonna lie, when you say it like that, it's a little bit scary now. But it's definitely Bournemouth are definitely a side that it's not like an easy win anymore. You come up against them, and it's kind of like you don't really know what to expect. There's obviously strengths and weaknesses with every team, but we're looking a lot like a side now that's going to be hard to beat and hard to stop scoring goals. I think that's the problem, especially when we're still a little bit shaky coming off. 1-0 loss at Villa isn't the worst, but it's not ideal.
Mm-hmm. No, I can understand. Villa have started to pick up, but we will get on to this weekend's game. We'll firstly touch upon your journey supporting Manchester City and then also your career as well. But I'll tell you what, Felix, tell me a little bit more about where it all began. Did you ever toy with becoming a Man United fan, or was it always City for you?
So I hate to say this, I'm not actually from Manchester. You can probably hear my voice. But it kind of all started. My family, my mum doesn't really follow football. My dad is Swedish, so he never really got into football really. So my godfather, who, that family have always been close with, they're like our best family mates. He was always a City fan. And so me and my brother growing up, and my sister as well, we all kind of just latched onto that. And that was around like when I started. I was born in 2002, so when I started becoming aware of football, it was 2008 or so. quite good timing.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I started watching properly, when Robinho came in and Stephen Ireland and stuff were kicking about.
Mm.
And then fast forward a few years, David Silva, Yaya Toure, Sergio Aguero all come in. So yeah, that's kind of where it started, and haven't really looked back since. Really, you can probably see why, but yeah.
No, fair enough. I think you picked quite well, to be perfectly honest. But you can't remember the legend that is Lee Bradbury. He is a Cherries legend as well, playing for
That
City.
yeah, can't say I do, but
No, fair enough.
obviously I've heard stories and everything, but
Fair enough. Of course, you've enjoyed the glory years. Do tell me the players that really stood out as being the pinnacles of getting Manchester City up to where they are today.
I mean, I think I think to be honest, everyone thought it was going to be like Robinho, and he was going to come in and change the side and everything. I mean, he didn't even know where he was going, did he? But yeah, I think when you look back at that time, you've got to say, obviously, Vinny Company, pretty much the pinnacle of that era. And then when Yaya Toure came in, Edin Dzeko, even like Alexandre Kolarov and stuff. They all kind of built that side that then went on to do so well. And obviously, you can't look past Sergio Aguero, who was there for so long. But for me, yeah, I think if there was gonna be somebody from that, you can't really pick one name, really, can you? But yeah, I think without Vinny Company, it would have been a different story, I reckon.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. And how many titles is it now? It's quite a lot, isn't it?
Losing count,
Yeah.
Bit of a flex. But is it 7, 8?
I think so. Something
It's the
like
type of
that,
figure.
isn't
It's
it?
the type of figure you'd think I know, but yeah, no, it's definitely been good. Not as of the last year, but I think you got to have that. So I'm sure we'll get into that. But
Yes. Well, Felix, I'm going to bring up a really controversial topic here that a lot of rival fans go on about, which is, of course, the Emirati owners and how much has been spent in the 115 charges and things like that. You've
yeah,
heard it all before. What would you say to those people and those fans in the Premier League that do always keep bringing this up?
I mean, obviously, you can't look past the fact that it's played a massive role. But when you look at the last few seasons, especially the net spend, I don't know the exact figures, but I know that City haven't been in the top teams of like big spending because our academy's done so well. We've done so well to offload big names, like Morgan Rogers and Cole Palmer and stuff. And I think as of recently, it kind of backs itself up in the fact that it's not all about money, that it definitely helped us with the development, getting that base, bringing the big names in, as I mentioned before. But I think to sustain, doing so well without continuing to spend money, is probably the most I don't know what the word is, but it's, pretty, I think it's pretty impressive that they haven't continued to spend and spend and spend. Last season was a bit of a different one, bringing in Omar Mamouche and Nico Gonzalez and stuff. But last 5 years or so, it's been pretty sustainable, which has been quite good. But yeah, no, you can't really look past all the charges and all that stuff. But it's all settled now, so.
Very true, very true. I know there's some fans out there that really will be cursing Manchester City forever and a day, but
Of
I
course.
think there's a lot of jealousy, isn't there, as well?
Yeah, what can I say?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I'm sure everybody's going to be jealous of us when we win the Premier League.
Of course.
I'll pin that there, but yeah, I doubt it'll happen. To be honest, you haven't spent over the odds this summer. It's more of a modest amount, which people compare City to, but to be there at the pinnacle of the game, you have to spend quite a bit. You look at how much Real Madrid and Barcelona and the big boys in Europe are spending. You have to. That's where Manchester City are playing now. The
That's the thing, yeah.
main road. I remember all those years ago when you were in Division 2 with us. You probably heard the stories about it. Dropping down to Division 2, you could probably say, yeah, it was a completely different story. But you are playing in the big boys park, aren't you, all the time?
Yeah, I think that's the thing that, we've stepped up to that level now where, Champions League spot every season is almost a guarantee.
Yeah.
But it's stepped up to that level where, and like you said, this summer wasn't massive spending. It was well thought recruitment. I think the things like Reinders and Cherky and stuff, they weren't massive money signings. Like Liverpool went for Wirtz, hasn't quite worked out yet. I think it will, but I think our recruitment was pretty spot on. And yeah, this summer I can say personally I was very happy with our signings. And yeah, I think it's using the money in the right way.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, we will come back on to City in a moment, and of course, what's going on in the Premier League. But let's touch upon your career. And of course, you are both a singer and a songwriter. When did you realise you wanted to be a musician?
So I think musician. I got my first drum kit when I was 10.
Yeah.
That was it was actually my godfather. His son was playing drums and he was getting a new drum kit, and my parents were like, "Oh, can we grab that one for Felix?" And that sort of came from there. Played drums for about 7 years or so, and then I sang a little bit in school plays and things like that. And people said, "Oh, you got a great voice." It was that kind of like, "Oh yeah, sure." And I'm sort of enjoying it. And then it was part of like a school project. I went to I had to write a song, and it was absolutely awful. Like I couldn't even try and do that now. But it got me into kind of production and make the making of a song and all that stuff. It was great. And so I decided for university that I wanted to go and study music production. And so I did. I went initially changing courses, doing dance music. And that was, another time. But I realized then at uni that I really loved singing. Really, I did it in a session where we were practicing recording a vocalist and a guitar player. And I was like, yeah, I'll sing, whatever. Not really thinking too much of it. Sang, got a really nice reaction from everybody. And it's sort of like, thought, oh, okay, I'll try and write another song. And haven't really looked back since. That was about, when was that? 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. Probably 4. And I've just been writing really since then. And finally had my first release about a month ago. So yeah, it's all looking up from here, hopefully. But it's been a bit of a zigzaggy journey, but finally sort of getting going properly now. So yeah.
Excellent. And you did study not far from here, just up the road in Bristol, I believe, isn't it?
That's it. That's true. Yeah. I've spent a bit of time in Bournemouth. And I do get the old question, "Oh, why did you never support Bournemouth or Southampton or something?" And it's like, But I went to uni in Bristol. Loved it, actually. Really loved it.
Yeah.
3 years, and then London soon. Still at home at the moment, but going up to London. I'm gonna keep doing it there.
Fair enough. Bristol has got a lot of, popular bands, but was you influenced by any Bristol bands, or was it others that influenced your music?
I would love to say it was Bristol, but to be honest, I think when I think about influences, it's probably more. It's a lot of 60s, 70s soul singers, to be honest. Otis Redding, Marvin Gaye type thing. And then more modernly, the singers like Hosier and stuff like that. I just they're all they're all the big boys, but there's a reason they are, and I'd say they're probably biggest influences really.
And I can hear from your debut single, Dirty Cigarette, it's not about a 60-day habit, but, it's about something else. We'll touch on that in a minute.
Yeah.
You can tell the Marvin Gaye sort of style coming through in the track as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely try to. It's not trying to be modern. I just think that I've always been told that my voice does work over older sounding stuff, and so obviously you can't make an old soul song, but there's the element of modern meets old,
Yeah.
and it's what me and my producer tried to achieve in that song particularly, and in other ones that we've done that haven't come out yet, but it's something that I do try and lean into, to be honest.
When you did record the single and go to release it, what was it like? Because I've had loads of bands on here, like the Kaiser Chiefs, Kasabian, Five, Hard Five, the Blue Tones, and their story is a little bit different to releasing a track in 2025. What was it like for you?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's changed so much, obviously, and honestly, now you can say anyone can release a song. There's lots of distribution platforms. You can upload anything. Obviously, not everything passes. You has to be musical, but you can upload pretty much from wherever you want. And so within that, obviously comes a lot of opportunity, but to break through all that noise, you've got to try and do something a bit different. And I'm quite lucky in the fact that there's a guy that I know who used to be he used to be in management. He used to work for Paul Oakenfold and lots of the old dance names. And he's been sort of guiding me and stuff, and through him and through his contacts, I've got a few insights into how to sort of make something stick a bit more. And that goes into like the marketing and there's all these different strands. But it's basically making sure that when you release, you're on the right maps, and you pitch into the right radio stations before you come out. And maybe I didn't do this, but trying to get like a PR thing in place and that kind of stuff. There's so many different ways that you can sort of do it, but I've gone off on a bit of a tangent now, really, haven't I? But when I did it, upload it to a service, and you basically do all the marketing yourself, really. And you have a certain amount of days before you release that you're posting things and trying to do gigs and things like that. But really, it's because it's so easy, it's made it hard, if that makes sense, to do well. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but
I guess it's a lot more competitive nowadays because there's so many different artists, releasing singles into Spotify, and of course we're on Spotify as well. Our podcast,
exactly,
it's nice and easy to do. You can push it out there quite simply, but that competitive nature, surely once you do break through that noise, it's going to make a lot more money than what those traditional artists could, and probably a little bit more sticky as well with regards to career.
Yeah, definitely. As soon as you can sort of break through that initial barrier, which is quite big, to be honest. I mean, you look at streaming, and somebody can be getting 400,000 streams on a song, which you think is a lot, and it is a lot of. I mean, I'm nowhere near there, but there's a big gap between somebody who's doing that and somebody who's then making money from streaming. And that's a big issue at the moment. And a lot of artists who are doing really well on streaming aren't necessarily making money, because the way you make the money is through live and through selling merch and things like that. So if you can break through, that's the first step. And then it's kind of making sure that your branding is already in place and you're ready to go and hit the live scene and make money through merch and sales and getting real fans on board. So yeah, it's all a bit of a maze, but there definitely, you know what, there are ways that you can really break through, and just about trying to do that really for me.
Well, let's talk about Dirty Cigarette. Like I say, it's not about a 60 a day habit, you know, and yellowing walls. It is about something else. Felix, tell us what inspired you to write this song, and do tell us a little bit of the story about what is behind it.
Yeah, of course. So I'll either write from a personal experience or, you know, someone else's story, or sometimes I'll make them up. But this one was kind of about a relationship that I was in, without getting too deep, where, you know, it's very easy to be in it, and it kind of, you know, it's not right, but
Yeah,
it's, you know, it's making you feel good, and it's like, you know, it's easy and it's quite, you know, it's quite nice and it's making you feel good, but you know, it's just gonna, you know, wear away at you. And it's kind of about the point before you realize that. So about, you know, having that feeling and being like, oh, you know what, let's stick around, like this is great. Even though, you know, it's not great really, even though, you know, it's kind of the worst thing for you. So that's kind of where that came from. I wrote it about a year ago with a friend of mine now called Alex. He's produced a lot of my stuff actually. And yeah, we wrote it online, weirdly enough. We were sat sort of on Zoom, which is a modern way of writing now, which is quite cool because he lives in France. So yeah, we wrote, he was coming up with some guitar bits, I was coming up with some vocal melodies and some lyrics and things, and then I'd record something, send it to him, and wrote like that really. But yeah, it's quite a fun writing process.
Well, let's play a little bit from the track Dirty Cigarette, and here it is now.
I've never been one to smoke, but the air I'm breathing in ain't clean. There's something in the taste to hold me down. A kind little look you give before you're turning it upside down. My addiction creeping in, I guess I'm coming around. Honey, I know you're broken, I don't need no convincing. So I'm moving in. I'm gonna love you, I'm gonna love you like I know. Darling, I'll treat you like my heart is made of gold. Like a dirty little cigarette, you're a feeling that I won't forget. I'm gonna love you, I'm gonna love you like I know.
So there we are. That is a Dirty Cigarette, and you can find it on Spotify, Amazon Music, all the popular streaming channels, can't you?
Yeah, everywhere you look.
Good stuff. And to be honest, it's a song that resonates with me. You know, I've been in that sort of situation before, and let's be honest, most men have, to be fair. So yeah, it's a very, very, very good track. So no, all the very, very best to you for that, and I'm sure it will be a surefire hit. Talking about touring and playing live, what is your experience with playing live, and how's that been for you?
So I've got more experience, and this is quite rare, I've got more experience in the studio and recording than I do on a stage. And most people, you know, bands and stuff especially, and you've spoken to them,
Yeah,
they'll come from playing 50 gigs a month. Do you know what I mean? Like they'll play all they want, and then when they get to come to a studio, it's really, you know, special, and they haven't been there that much. And it's often the case, but because I went to music uni and stuff and did lots of studio time, I didn't really get out that much and perform. I performed a few gigs at uni. A group of mates of mine, we performed a band to basically just play my songs. Bit vain of me. But yeah, so I played a lot. I played a fair bit at uni, but not loads. And then recently it's been mostly acoustic sets and things around where I live. I've done a couple in London. I did one on Sunday actually, and that was another acoustic thing. It was all originals and stuff, which was really nice to play because a lot of the time it's cover work and things. But yeah, whenever I have performed live, it's it's kind of the reason you get into it really. Having everyone enjoy hearing you sing and stuff, it's so amazing. So and that's kind of what the next few months are going to be about, really getting really into the live scene, trying to make a bit of a dent in London, which is tricky, but yeah, whenever I have performed live, it's it's the best feeling. Unless something goes wrong, it's not very fun, but generally it's so much fun. It's so much fun having just all singers are a bit vain, really, having all that attention on you. It's great, but no, seeing everyone enjoy it and enjoy it with you is the best part about it, really. So yeah, playing live is really good fun.
And when I've spoken to some artists in the past as well, some of their best gigs are actually those smaller locations, where you can see everybody really enjoying the music, rather than something like Wembley or one of these big arenas. They enjoy the smaller niche locations, where you can get a feel for the audience as well.
Yeah, and I think big artists that are kind of the mega pop stars and stuff that aren't that love music but aren't in it just for the music, I think will enjoy the bigger stages more and tend to love those. But you look at somebody like Ed Sheeran, for example, when he recently went to America, and there was videos of him performing in pubs surrounded by everybody just on a guitar, not even with a microphone, and enjoying that intimacy, which is what it's all about, really. And yeah, like you say, a lot of people will want that even when they're huge, because you're getting that feeling of everybody enjoying it with you and not just singing to people. So yeah, no, that's definitely a thing.
Good stuff. Well, all the very, very best for breaking into the London scene, and of
Thanks.
course with Dirty Cigarette as well. Great track. So go download it now, guys, and have a listen. But I tell you what, let's go on to Manchester City versus AFC Bournemouth. Of course, the Cherries, high flying, second in the league, Champions League places, travelling to the team that are fifth. To be honest, this shouldn't be the way I open with regards to a game between these two clubs, is it really?
No, I mean, you look at the table now, and Sunderland in second. It's all a bit but we're 9 games in. It's not like it's a fluke.
Yeah.
And it's obviously we're coming into the period where you see whether teams can sustain it. But it's a strange time. Everyone's in places they shouldn't be. Man U are doing better than we thought they were going to be doing. It's kind of that make or break time, I think. Can Liverpool jump back up? Can Bournemouth keep it up? Can City, stay a bit more consistent? It's that crunch time, really, I think. First crunch time.
Let's talk quickly about last season, because it wasn't the best. But there was a lot of people starting to doubt Pep Guardiola. And he kind of got it right around about Christmas time. It seemed to all click together. And there seemed to be a little bit more impetus. But it was kind of the fall off earlier on in the season that was such a shock. Of course, you come down here and we beat Manchester City for the first time ever. But what do you think went wrong, after winning pretty much everything?
I think that's literally it, is that we did win pretty much everything. And, coming off the back of 4 in a row, I reckon, it's the other side of tough, being at that point, being like, do we really need to do more? And from the club, I don't know if any new signings were made, but it was really quite stale in terms of how it transitioned from, that amazing season into one of the worst. So I think a lack of innovation was a big part of it. And I think people definitely blame Pep for that. But you got to look at, there was no more recruitment. Kyle Walker was getting older. I think De Bruyne still had it, but there were players that were sort of slowly falling off that were probably didn't have that much urgency anymore. And yeah, like you say, it did kind of flip at Christmas. But yeah, I think there was that kind of lull period where we've done it all. What's the reason to keep pushing and everything? And I think it kind of went into sleep mode. And there were problems that we hadn't seen before, which was strange, and some you can't really explain. I still can't really explain how some goals we conceded were conceded. But I think it was definitely kind of complacency, really, which I think needed to happen. It wasn't going to continue forever, and having a one-season setback where you finish fourth isn't the worst in the world. It's pretty still finished pretty strong, but yeah, not ideal.
Of course, Erling Haaland was still, centre of attention, wasn't he? I know he did have a period of time out last season, but he just gets better and better and better. Would you say, though, he is solely a target man, or does he do a little bit more? Because there's so many people out there that says Erling Haaland, isn't the world's greatest footballer, but he's a great finisher.
Well, yeah, I think when he was playing in Germany, he was constantly getting the chance to run in behind, and he was being played through, and he could really sprint and run and just shoot as hard as he wanted to shoot, and that was what everyone thought about of him as a striker. Then he came to City, wasn't running as much, but still scoring lots of goals, and you hear Alan Shearer and everyone talking about it. He's a great goal scorer. And I think for the first couple of seasons, that's kind of, it was, his game was a lot limited to that. But you hear him talk about it, he's always wanting to get better. And I think, he's not near Harry Kane in his build-up play, but he's a ball-playing footballer now, I think. He's coming deep, he's holding up players, he's linking up play. He'll run for a little bit with the ball and then feed it off and then go into a attacking position. But he's definitely transitioning into a more rounded footballer. I think you can definitely say at the start, he was a bit more one-dimensional. He was getting the job done, scoring loads of goals, but his general football wasn't where it is now.
No, fair enough. There was always that talk, is he really, the all-rounded great quality player, but he's such a great finisher and he's always dangerous. Let's be honest, if he gets in the box, it's going in. But yeah, it's probably sent fear through everybody that he is getting better and better and better outside of the box as well. I'll tell you what, let's talk about one of my mates, somebody I know very, very well at Bournemouth, Nathan Ake. An absolute legend, a lovely man. He's 30 years old now. How do you feel that Nathan has been doing at Manchester City? How long do you think he can basically play in a team which is going to be pushing and pushing and pushing? Or do you think there is always going to be that shelf life? Effectively, when can we have him back?
I don't know. He's always been a player that I've actually rated so highly. He's quick. He's so good in one-on-one moments and stuff like that. And I think he's always been a really solid player. I think even when we brought in Akanji and other players, I think he's always been someone that I've really rated. And if he could have stayed fit, and if Pep played him more consistently when he was fit, I think he could be among the best now. It's a shame that he hasn't stayed fit, and when he hasn't been like a consistent starter. But I think with players that struggle to stay fit, that longevity is a question. But I think ability-wise, he hasn't dropped. He's still quick. He's still so intelligent. He can read those danger moments a lot. He's always the one jumping in to make that block and standing up some of the best wingers in the world. He's got the quality 100%. It's just whether he can, his body will let him keep playing, really. You saw it with Sergio Aguero and stuff. He was still so good technically, but he just couldn't stay fit towards the end. And obviously so many others. But yeah, I think as a player, I rate him probably not as highly as you do, but very highly.
Yeah. Also, of course, you signed Gianluigi Donnarumma, the Italian goalkeeper that broke England hearts as well. He is quality. He's a quality goalkeeper. But who do you prefer, him or James Trafford? Because Trafford is a good goalkeeper. There's no you. I think it's quite a battle. I think Trafford will end up at some point during his career being England number one.
I would completely agree with with that. I think that it was sad the way it happened because I was excited for Trafford. And obviously he's a ball playing keeper. He kept a million clean sheets with Burnley. He was so solid. But I think obviously, no one knows what's going through Pep's head. But I think when you've got the opportunity to sign the best keeper in the world, you're not going to turn it down most times for 25 million or so. And so even though it was a big shame to see Trafford sort of dropped, I do think having that stability in goal, and obviously Trafford's a great keeper, but knowing that Donnarumma is behind you as a big presence and a brilliant shot stopper, I think it's that needed security. And Edison was good, but he wasn't thought of as a shot stopper as much as Donnarumma is, or even Ortega was. So yeah, I do think though that Trafford, I think he should be challenging for it now. I think Pickford's a great keeper, but you look at Trafford as an all-rounder, and he's very, very, very good player.
And there's a lot of really good youngsters as well coming through City now. And Rico Lewis, for example, is one player that really stands out to me. He's going to be somebody who is going to be a mainstay in the City side.
Yeah. We spoke a little bit about our youth academy earlier, but yeah, it's been strange with Rico Lewis because when he first came and he was playing in like the preseason tournaments in the US and stuff, absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
Scored his first goal and all that stuff, and he was really, really looking good. And then he had a bit of a drop-off season last season, but he is I think Pep likes him because he's so intelligent. And we all know you don't have to be a big presence to be a good player. I think Pep seeing him as a bit of that Philip Lahm type, can play in any position and just reads the game really well. And because he's so young, I think Pep's the perfect manager for him. And he's someone I rate really, really highly. Like same with Nico O'Reilly. They're both very good, smart players.
And I didn't realise this, but I've done a little bit of research before welcoming you on. Manchester City have, and you probably don't, knowing your age, you probably don't remember this player that well. But Emil Heskey used to be a nightmare and a scary proposition for any football fan. Of course, we didn't come up against him very often because, we were right down in the lower leagues. But Emil Heskey's two sons are playing for Manchester City. How good are they? Are they set to scare another generation of fans?
Well, I watched them a bit in the pre-season, and you don't see them very often. I don't know if they're starting tonight against Swansea actually or anything like that. I think they're starting. They might be on the bench, but I've watched them a few times. I've heard good things about them. I don't know if they're going to hit the same heights as Emil Heskey did, but it is pretty special to have two brothers playing in the same system, and there's also that competitive edge that might spur them on to do really well. But I can't say that they'll be as good as Emil Heskey, but I do think that they'll, you trust City's academy, you trust the family genetics. That they could be something.
Yeah. If I remember right, I think the only time we come up against Emil Heskey, I'm sure we come up against him when he was playing for Bolton Wanderers when we was promoted to the Premier League. That's probably the only time. But yeah, he was a scary proposition, throughout his career. Of course, he was on his way out at that sort of time. But just touching on the current form, of course, beaten by Villa last time out, 1-0 defeat. 3 defeats so far this season. Those two came together. Defeat by Spurs, a defeat by Brighton. Are you going to do it again, just specially for us? Lose 2 in a row?
I think if we were away from home, there would be a big chance of it.
Yeah.
I think that in a way, Villa was the right place to lose because it was always going to be a tough game. We've lost three times on the trot at Villa Park
Yeah.
now. So I think that was kind of it, even though we didn't play amazing, there were some good parts, but I think the obvious bit was no defensive midfielder is was a big thing, and it was another strange decision. I kind of thought we were done with those now, but had Nico Gonzalez and Kovacic on the bench, and you kind of think, why aren't they playing? Because they have that, it just brings that solidity to the midfield. But yeah, if we were away, I think that I wouldn't be confident, let's say that. But I think because we're at home, I think it does give us that edge. Which I don't like. I don't like this debate at the moment. I want to be able to say we, destroy Bournemouth at home, but you really don't know anymore. Like, you really don't know. So, yeah, I think that I'm hoping we don't lose.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. From your knowledge of Bournemouth, who really stands out for the Cherries?
Well, I'm not going to say Semenyo because it's so obvious, but Tavernier scares me because he's so technically good and he's clearly a very, very intelligent player. I think he's got that kind of ability to unlock a game.
Yeah.
I don't know if Evan Nilsson's fit now, is he?
No. However, we've
got
managed
Krupi,
to find
yeah.
Krupi, and Krupi has scored 2 against Palace and 1 at the weekend. So
hopefully we can keep him quiet. Yeah. Yeah. So there's not. You're quite well balanced, and you've got Alex Scott and Tyler Adams in the midfield as well, who work very well together. So you're locked down on a lot of bases. I think if we can get that defensive midfielder in, or 2, we might need Stones to pop up and that kind of thing. But I think that if we can keep that midfield tight and not allow too many counter-attacks, we'll be fine. But it's whether, Adams and Scott pick it up and then everyone else goes running and we're like, what the hell do we do? So, just kind of hope for that, really.
I'm going to ask you as well now. Antoine Semenyo, have AFC Bournemouth actually, and I need to pinch myself saying this, got the best player currently in the Premier League, in form-wise?
Big claim, but he's up there. He's definitely up there. I think form-wise, yes. Whether he can keep it up is another thing. I think you look at someone like Kudus as well for Spurs, who is doing a very similar thing in the fact that he's running a lot of their attacks. I think Semenyo is dangerous. I'm trying to think now. I mean, obviously, I do think Haaland is obviously better with 12 goals or scoring in 12 games in a row before last weekend. But I do think Semenyo is, as individuals go, he's one of the best in form at the moment. Yeah, I'd definitely say so. I'd struggle to say the best, but
Well, I tell you what, let's predict this game before we close off. I know I'm putting you on the spot, Felix. How do you think this is going to go?
I think I'm going to say 3-1 because I think we've got goal scoring ability. It's just I think you'll get one or two counter attacks, and you'll finish one off. And I reckon, watch it be Tavernier scoring. Actually, now that I've said that, I think he'll bag one.
Well, we are the longest unbeaten team in the league. I've just got to say that. 8 games unbeaten now. Longest unbeaten in the league. Who would have thought that back in minus 17? I would love to say that we might get 3 points at the Etihad. But realistically, I'm happy to come away from Manchester City away with a point. So, let's go for a 1-1. And I think that man, Antoine Semenyo, is going to pop up and grab that goal. And Erling's just going to do his thing, isn't he, really? Let's be honest. 11 goals, 9 games, isn't it, now?
Something like that. It's, I think he'll definitely pop up. He's not in the squad tonight against Swansea. But I reckon that's probably more of a precaution.
Yes,
because we're going to need him.
No, fair enough. Well, I was hoping he'd play against Swansea tonight, and just thinking,
roll his ankle a little bit.
yeah, Bournemouth. He just doesn't feel like it on Sunday. But I tell you what, let's close off. What is next for Felix Green? You've released your first single, Dirty Cigarette. Can you tell us a bit more about any other tracks that are being released soon?
So I think there's such a heavy period in December where everyone releases everything.
Yeah.
I'm looking January, towards the end of January, to hit the next one out, and really get prepared for that one. And then, hit the live scene, as I said, try and do as many gigs as I can. And then from there, it's just about being consistent, really. So if I can do one every 2 months, one every month or so, I've definitely got a few songs now ready to go. Next one, really excited about the next one, actually. We're still finalising which one it's going to be, but I'm pretty excited about it.
Fair enough. You're not going to give us any teasers.
Let's leave it for now.
All right, no problem. I'll catch up with you later on in the season, Felix, and you can tell me then. But Felix, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. The link is below to where you can listen to Dirty Cigarette as well. So please go and stream it, download it, purchase it, do all of that stuff. But Felix, all the very, very best. And no doubt we'll catch up later on in the season.
No, thank you so much for having me on. Sorry to waffle on about my opinions and my city ways, but
that's what we're here for. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers.
And thank you everybody for joining us. Hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button below. It helps this channel to grow. Do also go check out our other interviews as well with other musicians. We've had Richie Neville from Five. They're on tour very soon. We've got Hardfire and Richard Archer, Adam Devlin and the Blue Tones, Tom Meehan and Kasabian, Simon Ricks and the Kaiser Chiefs. We've had loads. We've had Dodgy. We've even had comedians on here like Omid Jalili, David Icke. You name it, we've got loads of stuff. So go to that interview tab just below and scroll through and see what you like. And Cherries fans, you'll see some former players as well. So I'm sure you'll like listening to them. Like I say, hit the like, hit the subscribe and the bell button. It does help this channel to grow. Thank you for joining us. Up the Cherries. We shall see you in the next one.
The TalkSport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search TalkSport Fan Network.